storming. Brains stay pouring all over the court. Check your trade scoring. A rational activist. Others remain dormant. Factual passages. Able to wage war when time call for it. Burn fire upon corporate setting his back. Sun is fall forward. See the big picture. Don't get stuck on small portraits. Tap resources. Your three inner forces. Mind, body, and soul working like piano chords. Linking the piece together from the root like Neanderthals. Preserving animalistic behavior when I convert into the cross satanic spiritual savior. Words that I use are the truth if I never gave ya anything else in your life. Remember words that I breathe on this mic. I print people a copy to read what I write. Tell it fast like my speed on a bike. Like a native chief, I speak and bring peace with a pipe. Subtle as a thief in the night with beats in the light. Check the coming. I'm blacking out like Robert Milosevic. Hold that. Take some with you. Eternal pain when New Jerusalem hit you. Fall back. Don't press the issue with script, lock, split, check, Bethlehem officials.
Yo, what is up, people? What is going on? We are here. It is me and my brother Terrence, and we are going to be talking about The Walking Dead final seasons, part 1 and 2. What up, Caleb? What's going on, brother? How you doing? What up, Terrence? You can unmute your mic, talk to the people, tell them how you doing.
Hey, what's going on, brother? I'm doing all right. Yep. It's been a long time coming, so I'm glad we were able to set this up.
Yeah, it has been a long time coming, especially since we're both big Walking Dead fans.
Yep.
I'm pretty much, I love this last season, man. What'd you think of it?
Yeah, this last season has been fire. I know we still got the part 3. It's supposed to be coming out this fall to wrap everything up. And I just don't know what's going to happen. I have some ideas, but this last season has been so good. In fact, the last 2, it's a shame that a lot of humans stepped away from it because they missed a lot of the cool moments.
I agree. What up, Caleb? What up, Tony Robinson? And that's the problem that I have. A lot of people like, oh, this season wasn't good. But there's 11 seasons of a show, bro. Not every season is going to be on point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it also depends on what the person is looking for. If the person is coming from it, like if they're fans of the comics, or if not, if they're just fans of the show and maybe a character got killed or something, or they're not interested in a particular arc, that can cause them to fall off. But for me, nothing has caused me to fall away. Like even when certain characters have died, my curiosity still kept going. And I'm glad, because otherwise I would have missed out on what they had to offer with these last 2 seasons.
I agree. And I'm the same with you. Like, I never fell off on it. I always enjoyed the show. And I don't think, like, a lot of people don't like certain seasons. I don't think there was really a bad season, to be honest with you.
Let me think. Nah, I wouldn't say
bad.
There's a bad season per se. I know there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of characters and story arcs. Like some of them are not as good as other ones,
Right.
But I wouldn't say that anything I saw was bad, objectively speaking. But I can see why someone would lose interest if like a character they like gets killed off. Like if that's the only reason you're watching it, then you're like, damn, why do I need to stay? I understand, but for me, I wasn't really watching the show per se for a specific character as much as it was that I was interested in the world. And, granted, when some of the characters got killed off, I didn't like that, but that didn't turn me away. I wasn't like, you know what, I'm not going to watch the show anymore. I never had that sort of approach to it.
Right. Which season would you say was the weakest then?
It's a good question. I would probably say the season that maybe the one that came immediately after the governor, it kind of slowed down a little bit. But then once they started getting into the Negan stuff, then it picked back up quick. Because I think what happened was they were trying to introduce a grace period to let the audience digest everything that happened with the governor, from when he was running the town, when we saw him getting wrecked. Like there was a lot of material there. So in order to wind the audience down, because sometimes you don't want to jump right back into something intense, because that could also be a bad thing in a way that the audience might feel burnt out and they trying to have a chill moment, kind of like working with the characters. So I feel like it always depends on what kind of project you're working with, which will determine how quickly you should go into a new storyline. So I wasn't against the whole breather period, and it wasn't even bad, but I did kind of feel like, okay, certain humans might not like the fact that it kind of slowed, but I feel like that slow was necessary to get us to Negan.
I agree, especially with all the stuff they had planned for Negan.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
right.
they Negan came in and he was like an instant impact in that show.
Yeah.
Killed off Glenn, killed off Abraham.
Yep.
So
Yep. Immediately, like it was from a writing standpoint, it was interesting because you had the mere mention of him. He's like this kind of looming presence. But if you didn't know what was up with him in the comics, like with me, I didn't know what was up. I just kind of heard the name and I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna see him at some point, but I didn't really know when or how or why. But it felt like when it was building up to him that somebody was out there that they hadn't met yet, and that it was worse than anything that they have dealt with, even though they dealt with, Shane and the governor, right? I was like, I think this Negan guy might be on a whole other level. And then when you finally see him, you're like, oh, okay, now I understand why there's a
yeah,
buildup. And once I had that thought, then it was when he had the whole team lined up. It's nothing like having your main characters in a position of, just vulnerability, like begging for their lives, like just scared. And you see how many badass people are on that team. So I was like, man, if somebody can show up and make them feel like that, that means that whatever follows this character, assuming that the writers deliver, which they did, then we're going to get something special. And Negan, he came out swinging, literally.
yep. And Negan turned Rick into a bitch. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? You
yeah.
remember? Because I was watching this little recap of some seasons, right? You remember when they kidnapped Rick and Rick bit off the dude's ear and shit?
Right.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
Rick was a badass, and when he met Negan, he was a bitch. Negan turned him into a little bitch.
He did.
So good.
It's Yeah, it's good you brought that up, because I feel like when you come from an area of, like, you're going through these different situations and you make a choice to be a certain person. In Rick's case, he's a leader, badass and stuff like that. Sometimes you can lose sight of reality for what you really are. So like in his case, he's always had a vulnerability to him, but he made it a point to not show it too much,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
you got to maintain that position. But Negan is the kind of guy where he's always kind of had something in him, but it was the circumstances that was really not allowing his true self to come out, as to where the apocalypse brought out that inner beast that's more of a savage. Like Rick is more of a protector, lead him to the promised land. Negan has the lead him to the promised land, but he also has the whole, if you piss me off or you don't do what I say, the only promised land you're going to see is this baseball bat,
Right.
right? So when Rick encountered him, he was just not equipped and prepared to deal with that initially, because it was just so straightforward, so unforgiving. And he showed them straight away that there are consequences. So he really didn't know the full capabilities of this man, but he knew that he could not make any more mistakes, because that will lead to the rest of his people getting killed.
Yep. Caleb said 11A was kind of boring for me, but 11B has picked up the momentum so much. Part 3 is going to be good just by looking at the teaser. Um, I don't think it was boring. I think part A or one, I think there was a lot of build up to some of the things that we seen in part 2. So I didn't have a problem with that. Like we were actually watching Maggie and Negan, Maggie trying to basically saying she want to kill Negan. Negan trying to be like, well, I can't stay here because she's gonna kill me, kind of thing. So I enjoyed that part. I enjoyed that dynamic of the first part. What about you?
Yeah, same here. Because I don't have a problem with to first. Let me say this: when it comes to something being slow, right? I will only say that if I feel like it was meant to be something else, but they're not delivering. But
Okay.
these quote unquote slow moments for me, they were not slow because they were building up to something that
Right.
which we saw they deliver. So as long as that happens, I don't have a problem with it, and I won't even view it as slow. Like if it doesn't amount to anything, then I can look back on it now that I have all the information that they wanted us to have, and then I could say it was slow because it didn't amount to anything, right? So to your question about Negan and Maggie, I like how their dynamic was awesome. Because there's a lot of history.
Yeah.
Like that only works if you've seen what the characters went through. Because otherwise, you can go off the acting, but it's like you don't fully know, right? It's kind of like you're waiting for them to reveal information. But since
Absolutely.
you and myself, we know, right? It just was all the more impactful when we know that Maggie is full of rage. And I get it, he snapped your boy up. Like I understand. The kid don't have a father, and
Popped his eye
Negan
out of his
is
head.
right, and and Negan is responsible. But I do like how we see that Negan understands what he did. He didn't make any excuses, and he stands by like, hey, remember when he told her, Anzo, if I could do it all over again, I'd have made the same decision. I was
Yep.
like, Anzo, you know how hard you got to be to look somebody in the eye and say I would do the exact same shit again.
Facts. But you
Like,
know what's funny about that though? Because he tells her that she's just like him, and she
right.
is though. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Maggie's just
Yeah.
like Negan.
Yeah. I um yeah, man, like I think she has that when she sets her mind to do something, she can bring out a savagery, but at the same time though, while she has like some elements from Negan, she also has a compassionate side,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Negan didn't
And
have that.
and
Yeah.
that in certain situations it makes her vulnerable in a way where Negan, his compassion was like damn near non-existent unless you were a child,
A
right? And it
child,
had to
yeah.
be specific circumstances, right? So I think in some areas that plays to Maggie's strength, but also her weakness, right? And we saw that Negan, he admitted to what he did. He said he wouldn't change anything, but he was also telling her and everybody else, like, look, I've made it a point to change. I'm trying, and you guys are not allowing me to do so, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, despite what I'm doing and saying, I can only do so much if you're not willing to forgive me. Like even the stuff that he did with the Whisperers, right? If it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't for Negan's part of that plan, they would have died.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was an integral part to that. So I think that uh based upon the interaction between Maggie and Negan, we got to see that she did acknowledge that he's changing and stuff, but she still doesn't like him. But you know what's
Mm-hmm.
interesting, Anzo? This last episode, I think it was a point where we saw Maggie actually respect Negan's
Yeah.
current position.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Because even when he was like, when she was like, "Oh, you saved my son," what did he say? He said, "Oh, your son, he doesn't trust me," and Maggie
Right.
was like,
Right.
"But I'm starting to." I was like, "Yes, that's what I'm talking about," you know?
Yeah. I was like, what? Yeah, because I was watching it with Tremaine at the time. Because usually I watch it with him, and I watch it with the friends after.
Mm-hmm.
So like we were watching that, and we just had that moment where we looked at each other. It was like, oh, so that's definitely character growth in that sense, right?
Absolutely.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, Anzo. Like, if I'd have been in Maggie's position, it would have been a different show because Negan would have been dead as fuck, right? Like, Negan kills my wife, my close friend, kills you or anybody like that, anyone that I deem important, right?
But wait, hold on, Terrence. You don't work off of emotions, and killing Negan because he killed someone that you love is going off of emotions, no?
I like that you bring up that point because I'll say this to that, right? I feel like I have like a certain set of principles that I follow, right? Like you don't mess with someone close to me. There are immediate consequences, right? Like, because certain things, like, you know, like how you have humans, they have to think about it. They say they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of stuff, but they wouldn't really do it. They go about it a different way. With me, I'm like, no, no, no. If you do this, this, or this is what's gonna happen to you. So the fact that, like, okay, let's say he had us lined up, he takes you out, right? And he's just like, yeah, had to take out Anzo because you blew up my convoy or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But okay, I'm not gonna lie, I would be full of rage at that moment because there's not a whole lot of stuff that I feel, and it's really, really difficult to upset me. But it's just something about you trying to make a point to me that you're trying to teach me a lesson and that you're more badass than me, and you felt that you had to do that by purposefully killing this individual. So the way I see it is, this is not about punishment. I'm not even going to go like the Frank Castle route where you're this kind of person and you deserve to be punished. It's more of, you have violated my principles, so you have to die. Like, so that's how I go about it.
Chillmonger said, since it's a zombie show, then Terrence refers to humans will sound natural. And it always does. You know what I mean? It's weird, but it always does.
You,
I see that, but the whole Reaper arc was kind of meh for me, to be honest, but the build up was good.
um,
Ne- Negan and Maggie's dynamic was great. I don't think that she'll ever forgive him, but I think she's starting to trust him more. Well, if she's going to be doing that show with him, there's going to be some sort of trust that's going to have to come in that show, right?
yeah, I mean, I think that even before we get to that show, because at this point, based upon the circumstances, it's slightly far removed because we don't know at which point and how much after whatever happens that it's going to take place in, right? It could be a year, 2 years later. Like, we don't know if they're going to do a time jump. But
Mm-hmm.
what we do know is that the fact that she said, I'm starting to trust you, that series is making more sense, right?
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't really make sense to center a series around them if we know as an audience that Maggie is thinking about killing him in his sleep every 2 seconds.
For real.
Because then that would take away from, that would create a tension, but it's a tension that we had in the main series, The Walking Dead, and it was somewhat detract from the tension of whatever they're supposed to be fighting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I feel you. And I think that the fact have that that they do have that dynamic right now, I'm enjoying it. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that show's probably gonna do well. It should be good because I don't know. I just wanted Negan to be redeemed. You know what I mean? After watching what he did with the Whisperers, I wanted Negan to be redeemed. I wanted to be able to be like, okay, Negan is on point. They're starting to trust him more. He's actually helped out a lot of them. So I think it's good that they did that.
I looking at it now, I think is good, but initially I had some concerns because I didn't want them to make him soft to the degree that the character will become unrecognizable.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you notice, now that we've seen everything, after the fact, it's like it's not so much that he's soft as much as it is that he is willing to listen to others in terms of how they feel. But if need be, he can still fuck somebody up like we saw him take out Alpha. That's a boss move to take out the leader of another crew.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because usually you get characters like, oh no, we can't go up against the leader. If we do that, everybody be coming up for us. Well, that person's the leader for a reason. I'm not equipped to take. Negan was just like, okay, what do I have to do?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then after he said that, he was like, okay, after I do this, when I come to the table for some cheesecake, I don't want to hear nothing about I don't deserve dessert. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
don't just give me some peas for dinner. I deserve to eat steak with the rest of y'all after I do this shit. Cause I could die trying to help y'all. So just remember that when it's time to eat. No more of this scrap shit. I want a full meal.
Absolutely. And the thing about that is, when after he did what he did, he tried to get Carol to put him back and put a good word into him, and she was like, "Nah, I'm not going back there." So she kind of screwed him on that one.
She did, and I wasn't mad at Carol because of the history, right? Because I'm like, look, Gonzo. Somebody could tell me like, hey, T man, I didn't change. I was wrong for killing Anzo. I just he I had to make an example out of him to teach you. I'd be like, yeah, I understand. I mean, you still gonna die, but I mean, hey, I'm glad that you planting stuff, feeding the homeless, feeding the children. That's all good. But what these humans don't know is our history. And because of our history, you have to die.
Mhm.
Especially since I'm not someone that you can rattle. The fact that you rattled me makes you dangerous. And somebody that's dangerous, you have to die. And that's how I put it.
Yeah, I feel you. Caleb said, I feel like Isles of the Dead is going to be them going to save one of their loved ones, either Herschel or Negan's wife, Annie. Oh, that's what it's called, Isles of the Dead? Huh, interesting. Um, I don't know, man. I kind of feel like maybe Negan's wife is gonna die.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was thinking of you talking about the new chick that's pregnant, right?
Right.
Yeah, because I was thinking of the other one. I'm like, didn't she die of like cancer or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I got you. I think something gonna happen to her too. And th- I've said it many times before about humans and not being able to deal with death and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between like an already built-in response, like how I was talking about for me, right? Because there are certain things I tell you, Anzo, I'm like, you know what? I don't know what I would do there. Let me think about it. And then I will give you an answer. But there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of stuff where I've already mapped out in my mind what I would do if certain things happen. So in the case of Negan, this dude has dealt with loss in many different ways. And then you incorporate this new chick where he's nicer. I think that would be bad for his character. Not from a writing standpoint, it would be good for us to see it, but for him, that'd be terrible for him to lose her. And then maybe if that happens, then the Maggie in the Negan series could become infinitely more compelling
Mm-hmm.
because now they both understand the idea of loss, right? Like Negan killed her man, and what if his woman gets killed by somebody? They would have that huge relatability going on
Absolutely.
that would bring them closer, and like Maggie could act as like to keep him from not being as savage and getting worse, like because when you operate in rage, it's like the worst thing. I know from years of experience that shit is terrible. It's like it's so draining, and you just see red all the time, and like we don't need Negan seeing red. Like we don't need that. That's gonna be bad for everybody.
Absolutely. Nah, Negan can redeem when Glenn returns. Exactly. You can't undo that. Yeah, I feel you. So the first part of the season that we're watching, the final season, has to do with a lot of the Commonwealth, right?
Yeah.
So basically what's going on, if you guys aren't really watching, is they find out about the Commonwealth and they're actually bringing people into their community, right? But there's something fishy about the community. So Hilltop or on Alexandra?
I think it's Alexandria. I think like what happened with Alexandria and Hilltop, it's almost like they combined their communities.
It seems like it, right? But which one did not join Commonwealth? It was
I
Maggie's one,
think
which
it
is
was
Hilltop,
it was Maggie's people.
right? Which is
Yeah,
Hilltop, right? Maggie running
I
Hilltop.
think so. Because at this point, it's like sometimes I like think they're the other group because they have this lot of combining thing going on. So I can't quite remember, but we do know it was Maggie's group that decided to not join.
Yeah, it was Maggie's Jupe that decided to not go join. Is my mic better? Chill. Let me know. And then what's his name? Daryl ends up going there. Daryl goes there. Eugene goes there. Ezekiel goes there.
Yep,
Who
Carol
else?
is there
Carol is there. That's right. The deaf girl and the
and her
other,
sister.
yeah,
Hmm.
interpreters there. Is there anybody else? Oh, the new chick that they found. Um,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Hispanic chick. What's her
the
name?
Hispanic chick. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So she's there too. So what happened was Eugene was, if you guys haven't seen the past seasons, Eugene was talking to someone on a CB from the Commonwealth and then decided that he wanted to go find them. So he went to go find them and they did this little whole thing where they captured them, put them in containers, and then tried to question them to see if they would be fits in their community. And then they ended up letting them into the community. There was also another woman that was there, which I can't remember her name, but she was looking for her brother and ended up finding her brother there.
Right. And for those of you listening, we're not talking about Rosita. That's not the Hispanic chick that we're talking about. And no, we're not talking about Tara because we all saw what happened to her. She got her shit wrecked.
Exactly. Let me see if I can go find.
And what's his name is there too? The Ezekiel's buddy, Jerry, the big dude.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, he's over there too.
Yeah, Jerry's there with his family over there too. Um, so they're basically have a community where money is involved and people are working, and it's something like we've never seen in The Walking Dead before. But you also got politicians, and one of the politicians is a fucking prick. The dude is an asshole. He's one of those dudes that smiles in your face, but behind your back, you cannot trust him one bit.
Yes, he. I know who you're talking about. That one white guy. He has like. He reminds me of like one of those like evil white politicians.
Mm-hmm.
Like where he has a look about him where you're like, if he comes out and says, "Hey, I'm gonna rebuild this city," what he's really saying is he's gonna destroy it and rebuild it in his own image, kind of guy.
Yeah,
Like
and
those
that's
are the vibes that he gives off.
right, and that's basically what he's trying to do because he wants to basically take over the. I guess he wants to take over the Commonwealth. We never really got any good information about what he's trying to do, right?
Right. Yeah, because he's working for that chick with the short hair, and she's clearly like the operator, the leader.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like, his and her plans, they kind of collide because there are times where he gives her like the side eye, like, I don't like that plan, but I'll do it because you're in charge. But he also seems to have something that we don't know about where I feel he's biding his time, making the right calculations. And when it's time, I'm thinking he about to kill her, Anzo. That's what I'm thinking.
It would make sense if he did, especially with the fact that he has these aspirations to try and be the leader, right? And what
Right.
he's doing is he's trying to bring the communities together. We don't understand. Well, I guess he wants to run the communities, right? He wants to be like the overseer. So he's trying
Yeah.
to be Hilltop, Oceanside, Alexandra. He's trying to bring them all together so that they can join the Commonwealth.
Right. So
And
you get one full kind of community instead of these separate ones. Because when they're separate, that means that they have leaders. And if they're
yeah,
leaders, that means that they don't answer to you, they answer to their respective leaders.
absolutely. And then
And,
yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just thinking, the chick we're talking about, she had like a nickname like Princess or something. The
Princess,
Hispanic,
yeah.
yeah, they're that's her name,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Princess they call her. That is correct. And then so they try to integrate into the community, and while they're doing that, Daryl becomes one of the like the police that they have there,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Let's see.
And Daryl, I like Daryl because like his demeanor, like I know like humans listening, they haven't like met me in real life, like away from the platform,
Mm-hmm.
but I have a certain demeanor about me. That doesn't mean that I don't have a sense of humor and none of that stuff. It's just that when you see me, there's a certain demeanor. It's very similar to Daryl's in that way. But I can tell that with Daryl, he's very nice and friendly with those that he considers to be his friends and family. But when he doesn't like you or when he's against something, he's vocal about it. And if he's not vocal, his body language is very telling all the time, Anzo. Like he has these things that he does when you can tell he's getting pissed. or when he's about to get in your face and ask you a serious question. And depending on what you say, he's either going to do something to you right then and there, or later on a Tuesday when you think like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, Daryl fell in line. You gonna get a fucking arrow through your throat, blade through your chest, or something like that.
Yeah, because that scene where he tells them, "I need you to go get the money," and then he's like, "Oh, you guys have kids, right?" And
Right.
Daryl grabs him by the neck, puts the knife at his neck, and like, "Don't you ever threat?" I was like, "Yo." And Daryl, from what I know, well, because I didn't read the comics before I started watching that, but I went back and saw some things, but I'm not really to say that I've read the comic. But Daryl was a created character, right? He's not in the comics or anything like that. Him and his brother Merle were created for the show, and I
Yeah.
think he's doing a bang up job leading this season, man. I think he's doing really good. I'll be interested in seeing his show with Carol as well. You know, that should be an interesting one too.
Absolutely. Like, cause from The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, The Walking Dead World Beyond, when you look at all the characters in there, the full scope of the universe, there are so many, friendships, relationships, pretty much everything. So when it comes to Carol and Daryl, I feel like that's the go-to when you talk about like definitive friends, and how even when they had their moments where, remember those earlier moments where Daryl was telling Carol like, "Yo, you fucking up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I love you. You're a good friend and stuff, but I'm not going to support you doing no stupid shit." And I love that, because after all that, even when Carol tries to leave and stuff, she's still thinking about him. She'll come back to check on him, and then he'll try to check up on her for so long. So I feel like their friendship is really strong, and that's important, because here's what it is, Anzo. When it comes to a lot of humans, they'll think, okay, like, the wife, the husband, whatever, nothing is stronger than that. But I've always disagreed with that. I think that if you have a true friend, right,
Mm-hmm.
it could be on that level of one of those, maybe not in a physical sense, but just from a mental, emotional sense, like to know that no matter what happens, no matter the mistakes you make, how much money you have, everybody turned against you, whatever the negative scenario may be, that this person has your back. You can always count on this person in a way that you can your partner. So I think that Carol and Daryl have that kind of relationship to where it's just as strong as a couple or something like that, from what I've
Right,
seen.
right. They might end up making them a couple. You know what I mean?
That might happen, but I
I don't
think
want it to though, but
I don't want it to either, because I'm like, Daryl is not the kind of dude like where he really like pursues relationships. He's kind of like me in that sense. Like, I'm just not pursuing it. I'm chill about it. Like, and it's like with him, I feel like he sees her more as a friend. And like Carol, it seemed like her and Ezekiel are gonna really become an item again, like how they were at one point. I just think that the reason why they separated was there was a
because of
lot of
that.
stuff going on
Yeah.
with the different communities, and some of their thoughts were clashing, and they separated so they can develop clarity amongst themselves. But even aside from that, he was doing stuff for her. Remember, she got him that surgery.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that. That was cool. I like that. So I think it makes more sense for her and Ezekiel to be an item, even when they're not, because of the strong foundation. But again, though, the stuff that she has with Daryl, I would argue, is just as strong, if not stronger, because she was rolling with Daryl before she met Ezekiel.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's why I'm saying, like, I think certain things would fit better. To me, Daryl and Carol fit better as that strong
Friendship.
friendship kind of
Yeah.
dynamic.
I agree with you too, as well. So in this episode, when Maggie comes back, but we find out that Maggie met some people in the community that ended up like getting fucking a lot of them getting killed, right? And they're looking for food for Hilltop, and while they're looking for food, they're being chased by them,
Right.
and that brings into this. And when she came in, I was like, "Who is this girl?" I didn't realize that she was the one that when Daryl left, he met her and the dog. He was the one he got the dog from, and he kind of fell in love with her until he left and had to go back and find his friends. And then when he went to go find her, she was gone. Can't remember her name right now,
Yeah,
but
you talking about the chick that was she was basically the leader of the Reapers.
yeah, the Reapers, right?
Man, those were some crazy ass characters. Like, and
Well,
then
she
well,
was the
actually, no,
second leader,
she was a second in command because it
second
was
in
that
command.
Hispanic
Yeah,
dude that was a leader at first, but then she became the leader. That's right.
right, right. Because Daryl ends up linking up with her again, and he's pretending to be someone he's not because he knows that they're the ones looking for Maggie. And that's the one
Right,
thing I liked about Daryl is like no matter what happened, his loyalty was always and has always been to the community that he's been started from. You know what I mean?
right,
So I
and
like that shit.
yeah, yeah. No, you're right, and loyalty is important. It's just always weird to me how like I see too many examples of like humans not caring about loyalty, man. Like they talk about it, but man, I be seeing and hearing shit where I'm like, how are you okay with this after what you told me earlier? Like it seems to be like a contradiction, but they'll have some sort of justification for it, something that, they'll explain to me that they either felt they had to do or something they wanted to do. And I'm like, hey, to me, like what Daryl is doing is loyalty. It don't
Hmm.
matter if somebody else come along that could arguably be better or offer you more. It's not about that because the Commonwealth offer a lot. Anzo, if we wanted to get some blueberry waffles with raspberry syrup on top, we can have that. Like they
Right.
got fresh, clean, shiny knives. We could take a hot shower, cold, whatever temperature of the water we like. We can do that. They can offer that, right? But that wouldn't step in the way of like say, you and me being boys, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Just because you can't give me some fucking blueberry waffles and this person can, that doesn't make them a better friend or better than you. They just have access to certain shit.
Right.
So I would take our dynamic over this motherfucker right here that can offer me something that I like because it doesn't mean anything. Because if you were in a position to do that, you would have already done that. You see what I'm saying? As to where this
Hmm.
person, they're doing it because they have it. And more than likely, they're trying to butter me up so I can join their community and they have like a different motive. They don't actually care about Terrence in that sense. They might care about what I can do for them.
Absolutely. And with that, they end up getting chased by them. They end up linking up with them, right? Daryl links up with them, and then
Yeah.
they go into what is it? It's like a house or something. They go into a house or something, and one of the guys from earlier seasons, can't remember his name either when it comes to these names, but he ends up dying because he gets shot. So they have to leave him, and they have to go. And all this time, Negan is like, "Are you sure this is what you really want to do?" You know what I mean? Like
Oh, yeah, you talking about the dude that was with Maggie and then she went back for him and he was a
he was,
walker?
yeah, he was a walker.
Right, right. Okay, I know you talking about. Yeah.
And Negan kept asking Maggie, like, listen, man, these guys are killers. We shouldn't be doing this, you know? They end up crossing paths, right? But Daryl ends up kind of letting the girl know that he's a part of their team. He's like, that's my crew or whatever. And then she's like, you've been lying to me. And he's like, don't worry, you can join us. We just got to take care of the Hispanic dude that's running the Reapers. And he comes in and catches them talking, and she ends up killing him. She ends up cutting his throat. I was like,
Yep.
okay, interesting. And it made it look like she was going to be with Daryl on Daryl's team, you know what I mean? And she ends up
Right.
saying Daryl was the one that killed him. So now Daryl has to leave, and they had this big little war where she lost most of her people and ended up deciding that she was going to get revenge on Maggie. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I didn't mind the Reaper stuff. I understand if Caleb thinks it was little boring, but I enjoyed it. I think you got a lot of development in that. This last season of Walking Dead wasn't bad. I almost gave up. Good thing you didn't give up, man, because I think it's one of the best seasons we've had in a long time so far.
Especially with just the roles that the main characters play with the new ones. You got what's her name, Connie, and her sister Kelly. The one that be doing the sign language and stuff. Um, they're interesting. Like you either got characters that are interesting or ones that are good. Then of course you have characters that you want to die. Like the princess character. I like her because like her personality is interesting. Like because a lot of humans be like, man, but T, don't you care about a certain appearance? And I'm like, that's like sort of misinformation in the sense that number one, when it comes to appearance, like my taste is very broad, as long as it doesn't fall into like two specific categories. But that still leaves a whole sea of females in terms of appearances and heights and ethnicities and all kinds of stuff. However, personality, like if a female, if she has a certain personality where I consider her a woman first and foremost, which means that she respects herself and others, she carries herself in a certain way. Like aside from that, like when she has a personality that sticks out to me, I will be more drawn to that than say a woman that falls into an appearance that I like, but I want to toss her out a window every second because she has a horrible personality.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? Like it's like there's a difference between ones where you get your dick wet, but you ain't really trying to be around them like that, versus ones where you can see yourself being around and even having all these conversations. Like Princess strikes me as a character where I feel that I would be able to talk to her and it would be a pleasant kind of interaction. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I like Princess. I think she grew on me too, but I liked her from the start. You know what I mean? Thought she was a little
Yeah.
cute character. Not bad looking as well. So I didn't mind her as a character at
I,
all.
I liked her from the start too, but it was like I didn't know if she was good or bad at first.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially
hmm
like when she's introduced and the whole minds and stuff. I was like, I need to see a little bit more of her because I didn't want to get too attached to her. And then it turned out that she was like this horrible, like side antagonist or something crazy. But then after a few episodes, and I realized that what I was thinking about was not there as much as it is that she's just different. And
hmm
I understand that, but I still need time to understand what different means in relation to this person.
Right. And they gave her a little good story too, because when she first came in, she was alone, you know what I mean? And she was playing tough, but you could tell that she didn't really want to be alone, you know what I mean? That's why she
Right.
ended up going with them and helping them. So I like what they did with the character. I think she needs a little bit more screen time, but
Yeah.
I do like her character.
Speaking of your point to the screen time, like man, she been fucking that black dude Mercer. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that dude is like one of those guys in the apocalypse where you just see him coming. Kind of like that other huge black dude in Fear the Walking Dead. Remember the one where Morgan had killed his brother?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so like the individuals like that, like you see him, you like, okay, I don't know if you connected to a group of people, but if you are, you have to be either the leader or you're like the right hand man because
hmm
there's no way that you're just a casual member of this community. Like
I like that.
until you prove it to me, I'm gonna assume based off of your appearance that you got to be in some kind of high position.
Yeah, I like that guy that plays Mercer. I think he could have been a good Luke Cage. When I watched it, one of the episodes where he was working out, I was like, okay, he's big enough to be Luke Cage. I think his
Right.
acting chops are good. I think he could have been a good Luke Cage.
Yeah, I could see him as a Luke Cage. I can definitely see that. Like he's like the way that he acts is like really subtle.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a certain kind of approach that he does with his acting to where I would want to see him in something else to see what he does with that role because he's kind of like he's in the middle for me, like in terms of his acting because I'm not too sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know like how when certain actors when they're in certain roles you're like, okay, you good for this
Yeah,
character,
yeah.
but I wonder what you can do outside of it. Because if
Mm-hmm.
you kind of see like a repeat of that, then it's like, okay, then you're good at playing specific kinds of characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would just need to see a little bit more from him. But his character is interesting. Like I said, the way he approaches is very subtle. Like you can see that, you know, he has focus, discipline, but he also doesn't want anything to happen to his good looking sister that Eugene is just
Oh my
he
God,
actually fucked her recently.
oh my
Remember?
God, his sister. Oh
Man,
my God, his sister, bro.
like what did they call her? Max or
Yeah,
something like that.
right.
Like so,
So for those of you that don't know, when we were talking earlier about Eugene using the CB and talking to someone from the Commonwealth, it was actually her. But they kind of tricked Eugene to make him think it was somebody else, and he was like, he pretty much lost it and was, was down and out, couldn't believe he was being used, and then she reveals herself as the one that's been contacting Eugene, and she
mhm.
is fucking bad. What up, Geishka? Happy Easter to you too, bro. The
Yeah,
scene
man. Like
where she is talking to her brother when he's working out, and she's wearing those white pants. I was like,
I was like, hold on, like
damn.
I was like, Anzo, the fact that like what happened with Eugene, like that actor, the way he was acting that scene was amazing.
So good, yeah.
Because I'm not really one where I just be sitting there like, damn, I'm fucking sad. Like that's so
Hmm.
rare. But with him, I
Hmm.
was like, man, this some sad shit. Like he
Hmm.
trying to make me cry and stuff. It almost worked because I was his emotion was so raw because it's like you felt bad for him because
Yeah.
he's a genius in an apocalyptic environment and
Hmm.
he's so different from everybody else. It's really hard for him to make those connections. And the
Hmm.
fact that he seemingly had it right, and then we saw what happened, and then I was like, man, that fucking sucks. Like you want to talk about a character arc?
Yeah.
Eugene's shit is just like tragic. Like I'm like, this is the kind of shit where if somebody told me like, man, I'm about to walk off this fucking building and end it all, I tell them not to do it, but I would understand. And I'm about, look, this you can't do that. I understand your pain. Just by you telling me that story, I was about to jump. And it ain't even
Yeah.
my story, right?
Hmm.
So, and then we saw that, okay, he met the real chick, Max, looking good as hell. Like, it's just her skin, her lips, her nose, her hair is beautiful. And her hair is even
Eyes.
longer than that. They just cut it for the show.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, she has like naturally just this long, beautiful hair, Anzo,
Her
right?
thighs, her booty.
Yeah,
Damn, bro.
everything's on point. And
Yeah.
she comes across as intelligent and compassionate, and it's like I feel like it would have just been that moment where I'm shaking her hand and stuff like, man, this is a real woman right here.
Hmm.
And I'm telling you, that's gonna be the hard thrusting if I get to bend her over, right?
Yep.
So Eugene, him
Gets to
waking up in
bend
the
her
bed
over.
with her, Alzo, Eugene had that smile, like, and it was like I felt good for him, like you know, like how when we see shows and movies,
Hmm.
characters get some ass. That ain't nothing. It's just like, okay, that's typical. You don't even think about it that much unless it's important to the plot. You're like, you don't really care about a character getting some ass, like female getting some
Right.
or whatever. You don't care. But with Eugene, I felt like not only was it a long time coming, but he was legitimately happy. He was like, things are finally looking up for me. This show
Hmm.
has been doing me dirty. I've been pushed to the side. Individuals been mocking me. They fucking came up with this horrible plan to fuck up my psyche and made him seem like he was crazy. Remember that Anzo when he had the
Yeah.
board?
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
was like, Anzo, Eugene is pulling a Batman. He was just like, yo, he was there at this time. I developed some contingency plans in case they change the schedule.
Hmm.
I felt bad for Eugene for a long time, Anzo.
Yeah. For real. At one point, I was like, I can't stand fucking Eugene, But when
Right.
he got that dark meat, bro, he was smiling. He was like, yeah. And the one he got was a lot better than the one that tried to trick him, anyways. You know what I mean?
Facts.
So,
Thank you, Anzo. I don't know. I talked to a couple of my friends, right? They was like, "Yo, that other girl was bad." I was like, first of all, I'm like, look, I had to pull up some images, Anzo. I like, okay, look
hmm,
at her, and then look at her. Now, I guess everybody has their own subjective taste, but I was like, objectively, regardless of your taste, you ain't gonna tell me that first chick is better than the second one. There ain't no way you could do that, Anzo.
absolutely. Absolutely 100%. I agree with you. There was no way. When I seen that, I was like, nah.
you, you, this might sound messed up, Anzo, but I was telling my friends because they were laughing, I guess, because of how I put it. But I was just being real with them. I said, look, in a way, I'm glad damn near that happened to Eugene because it got him to the real chick who's better than the one that fucked him over.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like it was worth it. You went from like a 5 to an 11, so that's how I feel.
Absolutely. So let me bring this up real quick. And I want you guys to take a good look at this. All right. So this one here is the chick that Eugene was with. All right. This is the one that fooled him. So that's the one that fooled Eugene, made him think that she was the one he was talking to. And then Eugene ends up finding out that it's not her, and he ends up getting. And I gotta find the right episode so you guys can see what the hell I'm talking about. I gotta find the right episode.
Yeah, while you're looking for that, I just thought
Yeah,
of
go ahead.
something. I want to say her name is Leah, the chick that ended up running the Reapers.
Okay.
And so that actress, because I was like, damn, like I just thought about it, like, because you remember X-Men Origins Wolverine?
Mm-hmm.
You remember the chick that was with Logan, and then she supposedly loved him, but she was really just doing what Stryker wanted because Stryker had her sister.
Yes.
That's the same actress.
Wait, say that again?
Okay, you remember X-Men Origins Wolverine, right?
Yeah.
The chick that Logan was with in that cabin in Canada on that mountain.
Okay, yeah.
Right, and the chick where I guess it turned out she was supposedly in love with him, but it started off as a mission for Stryker because remember Logan left from Stryker and Deadpool and Sabretooth and all them, right?
Yeah.
So he left from the Weapon X program.
Mm-hmm.
Then he thought he was living his good life, but it was all to like Stryker's design for him to be in that moment in that place, and then he met that chick. And then at the end, she reveals to him, like, oh, I just wanted my sister. Stryker had her, and he said he'll release her if I trick you to try to get you to go back on the team. It was like some fucked up mental gymnastics, but that's the same chick that was in Origins of Wolverine.
Oh, shit. Okay. Okay, I see you.
Yeah, I just wanted to run that by you because I just was thinking on it. Like, yeah.
Interesting. Trying to find a good scene with her. I'm trying to find which one where you get a good look at her body where she's talking to her brother.
And what's that the leader of the Commonwealth chick with the short hair, Pamela or whatever the fuck her name is.
Yeah, I think
her son is like this weasel, desperate for attention, no loyalty having, no principle having scumbag.
Yeah.
And it's like you have me at 2% of understanding where he's trying to appease his mom, but when you start going into the trash area to where nothing and no one else matters beyond you trying to prove yourself to a specific person, I take issue with that because then it just means that you are literally capable of anything negative. Like you cannot and should not be trusted under any circumstances, which is why Daryl almost killed his ass.
Absolutely. And this is the girl that Eugene ends up with. That's what she looks like. And now, if any of you say that the first one looks better than her, you guys are out of your minds. I am sorry. But Eugene got that dark meat and he's happy as hell.
Yep. He happy. He's so happy. Like, and it was like that actor that plays him, man. Like, he's good because there was so much that he did with his smile. It was like on one end, you saw the pain, but then on the other end, it was faded away. He was like, everything has led me to this, and it's real. It ain't no trick, none of that stuff. Like, this is real. And it was like he had that smile like he was relieved, and then she got up, started putting on clothes, which I'm sure Eugene was a little bit disappointed because she had to go to work and shit. You know, he probably wanted to, you know, clap it a few more times. But then as she put on her clothes, then he had a what you would call a 100% happiness kind of smile. It was almost like he tried to soak it in. Damn, this shit is real. This is real. And when he fully accepted it, man, like his happiness was shining through. So props to the actor for being able to convey that.
Absolutely. Said, I was happy Eugene found his actual love. That other girl was like an internet catfish. Yeah, that's exactly what was happening. She was a catfish because she was just trying to find out information about the community, right? So
Right.
that guy could try and get in there and take over again. Or, well, not
Yeah.
again, but try to get them a part of the Commonwealth, you know? So, yeah, it was definitely a catfish.
Speaking of Commonwealth, Anzo, remember I was telling you about the CRT, the Civic Republic,
Yeah.
the one that's in the Walking Dead World Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting how fucking similar they are to the Commonwealth. Remember when I was sending you all those images?
Yeah.
From everything from how they stand, how they operate, the resources that they have, and that CRM, Civic Republic military, they killed an entire community. Like we're talking about, it was more than like 12,000. It was some crazy ass number.
Yeah.
They killed them because of disagreements and stuff like that, and they wanted to further their agenda. Like the main characters, the two sisters, their father is a genius and he was into science and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they thought that he and a couple other scientists, Anzo, I feel like no one should have to be told that finding a doctor or a scientist in a zombie apocalypse is one of the most difficult fucking things.
Right.
Like if you have everything in your community, but you don't have a doctor and a scientist, your community lacking because you need them because they're the ones that can help you to tell you what to do, what to find when somebody's sick. They could further things. Like they wanted to use that man to possibly come up with a cure for the walkers. Obviously, you know, that didn't happen, but they thought he was the closest thing to it, which is why they were keeping that man imprisoned in their community, which is very similar to the Commonwealth. And I'm just like, I swear to God, Anzo, if like the fifth to the last episode is like we see them people in black come up and they standing next to the Commonwealth, I'm like, well, damn, I think not only are they gonna need every character that we've seen to defeat them, they're gonna have to resurrect the dead ones too. Like somehow.
Well, the way they're doing it, right? Because you get half of Walking Dead, then you get half of Fear the Walking Dead. So they may be connecting something in the last couple of episodes. They may try and connect something. I don't know. It seems like they might do that, you know? Maybe some characters that are in The Walking Dead may move over to Fear the Walking Dead. I don't know. It's interesting.
That might happen because it's like, because I know Fear is gonna keep going after the main Walking Dead is done because they're still telling their story. But I'm like, they would have to deal with the Strand situation before they come over there, right? Because if they don't, then Strand could become a problem. I can even see Strand like temporarily aligning himself with the damn Commonwealth only to try to betray them because we know how Strand is, right? And they're not going to know. They just will see him as like, okay, he's another community. You and me and others, we're going to be sitting back like, no, he's not just another community. You cannot trust him as far as you could throw him. Like he's one of those characters where he always has the ability to make the audience like rub their fucking chin out of frustration. Like, just, I don't want you to kill him because his character's so fucking good. But at the same time, if you do, he's been there long enough to where I will understand as an audience if you take out Strand. I would absolutely get it. And there ain't a single person that has been watching consistently with all the information that they have gained on this man would be able to sit there and tell you or I that this man wasn't deserved of a crazy death. Painful.
Yeah.
I mean, he needs a painful death, Anzo.
Oh yeah, Strand needs to die. Strand needs to die. said, I'm excited for Fear the Walking Dead on high seas on the naval ship. Yeah, that's what I watched. If I'm not mistaken, that's what I watched the other day. Hold on.
Is it on YouTube? If it is, like, send me the link, like text it to me, and then I'll
No, it's
try
not
to
on.
watch it.
It's not on YouTube, but it's no. It's called Fear the Walking Dead on the Water.
Is it how long is it?
It's an hour episode.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's an hour
I
episode.
want like I'll check the because we got the Fear the Walking Dead is like scheduled to record on a DVR whenever it's new.
Hmm.
I'll check the guide and stuff later to see if that little hour segment will come on before the new episode of Fear. That might happen because if not, then I'm gonna have to look it up online. But I would imagine that they gonna air it on TV if they haven't already, right?
Yeah, they should.
Yeah.
That's why I figured how I got it because it was aired on TV, right? So, but yeah,
That might have been my mistake. It might have come out like how long ago did you watch it exactly?
uh, about a day or two ago.
Oh, okay, so yeah, it should because they normally on AMC they like to repeat the showings in
Yeah,
case you miss it, and then
yeah,
also build up for certain
mm,
arcs, certain new
yeah, so
seasons.
yeah,
So it should still be there. So I'll check on it and then converse with you to make sure that I got the right thing.
absolutely. So then we get to the second half of the season, and this is where shit really starts to hit the fan because supposedly, the Commonwealth had some weapons that were hijacked, right?
Yeah.
And we don't know who hijacked the weapons, but now because he doesn't trust, um what's his name, Gabriel, and what's the other guy's name,
Oh yeah, the one with the
the one hand.
yeah, yeah. I know you're talking about.
Yeah,
Like
can't
they
remember
don't
the name.
trust him. Yeah.
Right, so they end up sending them with the army of the Commonwealth to go to this little community to find out if they have their guns there. But now
Right.
they send this dude, right? And never, and if mistake me if I'm wrong, but he hasn't been in any episodes until that first one where he asked them to go with them, right? Because I don't remember
Yeah,
seeing this guy
yeah,
before.
yeah. It has been a minute since we've seen him before that.
Oh, he was. I'm talking about the mercenary guy.
Hmm.
You know which guy I'm talking about?
Wait, pull up an image. Let me because I might be
Yeah,
thinking about another character. That way I can
yeah. I'll pull up it. I'll find the image for you. So remember when they go into the house and
yeah.
he's acting like a little bitch. He's like, no, 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 don't kill me, don't kill me. And then he switches the gun on the dudes and fucking kills the leader.
Oh, okay. I think you gotta pull up that image because
Oh
it's
yeah,
like I'm building a scenario in my head, but it's like I'm blanking on the damn face and shit.
yeah, I will. Here, here's the scene. I'll pull it up. Just give me 1 second. This guy, this one right here.
Oh that fucking asshole. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, right. So they send him along on the mission, and we think he's just a regular dude. You know what I mean? He's just a regular dude, whatever. Supposed to go there with diplomatic stuff and be like, talk to them, see what happens. So they end up getting into the community, and that scene that they show there is they're talking to the leader. So the
Right.
leader's like, "Yeah, we didn't do it. We don't want to have nothing to do with this." Pulls a gun at him, says he's gonna kill the guy. He's like, "No, don't kill us." He's like, "Okay, we're gonna let you walk out of here. Don't ever come back." That guy flips around, turns the gun on him, kills the dude, and then says, "We're gonna start wiping out everybody in here until we find our weapons." And that's
Right.
where,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Now it's coming back to me. Yeah, they were upset that their weapons were missing, and they were mowing people down in that fucking building, man.
yeah,
Yeah, they
exactly,
they were just they were no exception, just like, yep, where are the weapons? I'm not sure. Bang, bang, bang. Where's the weapon? It might be bang, bang. It's just they weren't playing, Nzo.
exactly. And that's where we find out that Negan was a part of that community.
Right.
Negan,
Right.
Negan ended up having a wife, getting married, and she's pregnant with his child. So
You
that was interesting.
how you know what's crazy about that when you think about it? Negan is such an amazing character because I'm like, Ozzo, I could have sworn it was like before that was revealed, right? Like
Mhm.
only several episodes before that, Negan was like, look,
He's gone. Yeah, I thought it
I'm
was.
gone.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I'm not gonna wait around for you to kill me. See you on the flip side. The scene transition is not only is he still alive, he has his own community, damn near the leader, damn near. He got a
Mhm.
whole wife and kid on the way, Anzo.
That's what I was saying. I was like, how long was Negan gone for? Like, that's a long fucking time jump. Because just 3 episodes, he was gone like 2 seconds. You know what I mean? It's 2 seconds he's
Right.
gone.
Right. That's why I was like, I've always expressed that you gotta like try to pay attention to how much time passes
Hmm.
because that takes a lot of time for you to be in a community, arguably be the leader because he was calling the shots. They were listening to him, even though they had that other dude, right? But it's like I feel like man, people were listening to him more than that dude that got murked, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So and then he was able to establish a connection, right? Like, okay, hey, my name is Negan, blah blah. And then he bent her over, and she's pregnant. She loves him. Yo, Negan's a good soul. I'm like, Anzo, there must have been a crazy ass amount of time, but because of the way it happens, I'm like, he just left like yesterday,
Hmm.
Anzo.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
one thing that I would say about The Walking Dead is that, you know, you have to be very mindful of the time periods that pass because
right.
you may think that, it's only been a day and it's been a month that passed by, right? So that goes to show you how long they were gone looking for this food and how they got, into the battle with the ex-girlfriend of Daryl. So that's been a
Hmm.
long, they've been gone a long time. Now they did get the food and they did end up bringing food back to Alexandria, but
Right.
they were gone for a minute, man. They were
They
gone for a
they
minute.
they were gone for so long, man. They were establishing plans with Gabriel. What's his name? Aaron, the dude with the
Aaron, that's it. Yeah.
yeah. They were establishing plans with him. There was
Hmm.
so many things that happened, and it's like that's why you can't like leave like the show to where you're missing episodes and seasons because a lot of that can be confusing. Because you and me, we were watching it, and then we were just like, "Whoa!" It was almost like whiplash when we're like, "Yo, how much time has passed for Negan to be part of this community and have a whole family and stuff?"
Yeah, I agree.
That's crazy.
It's years he must have known her for a while. Yeah, because you got to get to know somebody, you know what I mean, before you just marry them and shit, right? So yeah, it had to have been quite a while.
I would like to think so. Now there are plenty of humans where it's evidence to the contrary, but it's like we have to look at the circumstances, right?
Hmm.
Zombie apocalypse, significantly less humans, right? You talking
Hmm.
about like what 1% of humanity is left? Like it just and they're dying off. Like each hour that passes by, the humans getting snapped up and turned into a walker. So you don't have a bunch of options in the way where you can go, you know what, man? I was on this website, this dating app, and I had to turn down like 30 women, man. They just weren't for me. Man, you if you turn down one, you might not be able to find another one in this scenario. So you better hope that you can make a connection. And for that to happen, especially in a zombie apocalypse, because humans are going to be more selfish because now you don't really have like the proper military. You can't call 911. Everybody's principles, religious beliefs to a large degree they either out the window or to question it to where it makes them more bold to do shit to where they wouldn't otherwise do it in say like a normal society standard, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So especially with women, they got to be careful that some dude is not trying to use them to get to the food and the kids and stuff and all kinds of shit. So clearly Negan has known this woman for a while. Like that's what it
Yeah,
seems.
yeah, absolutely, 100%. So they're under attack. They don't know what to do because the Commonwealth Army is basically like overrunning them, killing everybody. They got all these weapons. It's come to find out that they actually weren't the ones that took the weapons, right? So they're hiding, trying to survive and think of a strategy when they get rescued by um, Daryl, Maggie. Daryl was there, right? Daryl
Yeah,
was there?
Daryl was there because remember he
Oh yeah,
came up
Daryl.
and
Yeah,
then
yeah, he
yeah,
was with them. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Daryl ended up. Well, Daryl wasn't there to actually save them,
right.
but Daryl was there with the part of the Commonwealth, right?
Right,
Maggie.
because remember he was providing like the distraction to throw them off. Remember, because
Yeah,
Daryl is good at that. He'll like throw you a bone in a different direction to make you go that way while he's devising a plan. Like he's very good at that.
right, right, exactly. So then, Maggie and her crew comes in to save them, and that's her first meeting with Negan after he left. And Negan left because he was like, "Listen, man, I know sooner or later you're gonna try and kill me," and he's not that type of guy that wants to have to, I guess, fight Maggie or kill Maggie. You know what I mean? So that's why he ended up leaving. And when he left, this is the first time they're meeting up again. So Maggie says they're gonna help, and Maggie ends up finding out that he's married and that he has a child on his way with a black girl, mind you, which is
Right,
very interesting. So they team up, the black girl and Maggie team up, Annie and Maggie team up to go, you know, um, try and find out if there's any people hiding out, see if they can save them and stuff like that. And then that dude, man, the army dude, he has a bunch of dudes on the roof, man, and he's like, just tell us where the guns are. They're like, no, 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 and they just push every single one of them off the roof. That scene was
yeah,
fucking crazy, bro.
yeah. That was savage. I mean, like it. My thing is like right because you'll hear me say a lot like hey man, fuck that. We don't deal in fear. But at the same
Hmm.
time, really the thing about it is when it comes to fear with me, from my perspective, really I only take issue with it if it prevents you from doing and saying things that you should be doing.
Okay.
Like if it say if you're in my crew, right?
Hmm.
And you're afraid and that paralyzes you from, saving the rest of us when you could have or whatever it may be, I take issue with that because then your weaknesses and inconsistencies in the situations is going to be very bad for the rest of us. But if somebody's in my crew and then I don't know, say like they got you over the edge and stuff, and I'm too far away to get to you. If I try, they're gonna kill me and you. But Bobby told him over here he can use that gun and pop this dude off and save you before I can even get to you. But if
Hmm.
he's paralyzed by his fear, he's not going to do that. And then you die when he was in a position to make it much more likely that you're alive. So it's like in that point, if you can summon bravery and still do what's right in the face of fear, then I have no issue with it. I'll still be like, hey, man, you don't want to do that because you're putting yourself in a position. But I care about if you're able to function when we need you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I hear you. So they end up, getting saved. They end up killing the army dude, same way that he killed them. They threw him off the roof, which was even another good scene. But now the leader of the Commonwealth decides to find out what's going on. So he comes over to get information, and he suspects that Maggie's crew is the one that did it, and that Gabriel and shit, what's his name again? Gabriel and
You talking about Aaron?
yeah, Gabriel and Aaron are in on it, and they were the ones that helped them escape and kill their crew. So he's like, "All right, cool, no problem. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to Hilltop, Alexandria, and see what we can search." So they go to Alexandria, and that's where you get the scene with Daryl in the uniform saying, "No, Maggie, it has to be done this way." And when I seen that scene, because the second part of the season opens up with that scene, I was like,
Right.
what the fuck? Daryl is part of the Commonwealth now and he's going against Maggie? But no, he was just trying to, calm the situation down.
Right.
So,
That's what I took because like when you watch it on AMC, they show you like a little, preview and shit, right?
hmm.
So that was out of context. You just see the one of the members of the Commonwealth, he removes the helmet and it's Daryl, and then it
Hmm.
cuts to Maggie like, what the fuck? And then
Yeah.
it's just like next week, and I'm just like, either he turned on him or that's just part of his plan. Because I'm like, if he actually full blown turned on him and bought into the brainwashing of the Commonwealth, I'm gonna need a flashback. You can't just do that and not explain some shit, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah, but I would have did the same thing. Like keeping up appearances is important, right? Because humans can speculate and have all the theories they want, but you really don't know without confirmation from that specific person, and that's assuming that that person is being honest with you. So keeping up appearances like how Daryl did for them, okay, I'm loyal, look at me, fuck Maggie, but you got to figure out a way to let her know, like, hey, you gonna have to play along with this because if I'm not here or something, or if they think that I'm siding with you, then they might kill us all, or they might kill you to make a point. So you want the person to somewhat be in on your plan to some degree, because otherwise, they might shoot you or do something, and then that's bad, right? So you
Yeah,
don't want that to happen.
absolutely. Um, so yeah, so now they end up and I love that scene when they go to Alexandria and he's like searching for clues and stuff, right? He sees the truck and he's like, "Oh, this looks like the truck that was like the tire tracks that were around the group, you know?" Maggie's like, "Oh, this truck hasn't worked for years." So he's like, "Really? Do you mind if I check it out? Because I'm good at fixing cars." So he's like, "Okay." They let him check it out, and then he goes and sees that there's a connector missing, or not connected. So he connects it, and he's like, "Oh, this is the problem," thinking that they just did it to try and fool him. He connects it back, gets in the car, tries to start it up, doesn't work. And you can see on his face that he is pissed, right? So they end up, Daryl's like, "Okay, there's nothing here, let's go." So they decide to leave. And just as they're about to leave, he sees Maggie's kid. And he's like, "Hey, Herschel, come here for a second." So he calls over Herschel. He starts asking Herschel questions. And, he tries to be you want your mommy to be safe, right? So don't lie to me, and we can get this done. And Herschel's like, "I want to go see my mommy." And as he starts to go, he says, "Hold on." And he pulls out Herschel's hat, right? Because Herschel was in the house and Negan ended up saving him when they were attacking that little colony. He actually stowed away in Maggie's car and ended up getting there. Negan saves him. So I guess he must have left his hat there. And he finds the hat. He puts it on Herschel's head. Like, "Oh, it's a perfect fit." And then that's when that black dude comes out and fucking grabs him and puts him against the wall and like, "Don't talk to this kid." You know what I mean? And
Right.
one thing I liked about that community is that everybody protects everybody, and I like that shit in the show.
Right. Quick question. While I readjust.
Hmm.
How do you feel about the Elijah character, the other black dude, where when we were first introduced to him, he had on a mask, like he's the one that lost his
Yeah,
sister? Like, how do you
yeah,
feel about him?
I like him. I think he was okay. He didn't really do much. He was the one that was like, "Oh, you killed my sister," and he wanted to kill that crew that Daryl's ex was with. But I think he's a pretty good character. I don't hate him. What about you? Oh, you're still resetting? Yeah, he was a total jerk trying to manipulate Herschel like that. Yeah, he was. And he figured he could get some information out of the kid, but the kid was a little bit smarter than he took him for. And that dude grabbed him, put him up against the wall, and was like, "Don't touch him." And then Daryl and them came over, and they ended up leaving. But that's when Daryl decided that, I guess he's done with the Commonwealth because he ends
Right.
up staying with Maggie there. But I was saying I like the character. What about you?
Oh yeah. With Elijah, I
Hmm.
like him because even though he hasn't had a lot of screen time, it's kind of like you do kind of see him as a background character, and occasionally, he'll say something like, I think the stuff with his sister was surprising.
Hmm.
Um, and when you had that scene, remember the few scenes where we saw him get really mad, he's about to off somebody, and how he grabbed that one dude by the neck and slammed him against the wall?
Yeah.
Like over the course of the show, after he's introduced, I started to like him more because I'm like, Maggie trusts him. You know, that's like
Right.
her right hand man. Like that dude is badass.
Yeah.
So I was like, I like him. And the fact that I was wanting more from him, I think shows that he's a cool character in that regard. I think the more that they give him, then he'll be more and more likable from that position, just because there's a lot of stuff with him that's wrapped in mystery. Like even when they had that stuff when you find out that he likes that Lydia chick, the daughter of Alpha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like even like him liking her and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, so they giving a little bit more stuff. Like, he's trying to clap her out and stuff, and then like I can't really tell if she likes him like that. I know that she like is friendly with one another, but I think he's trying to pursue that. So we'll see what happens. But I do like that while he's trying to pursue her, he doesn't get like distracted in any ways. Like it's not like he's being stupid or making horrible decisions. Like he's still on his game because I tell you what, Anzo, if Lydia, if she gets killed by the Commonwealth,
Mm-hmm.
and if he's there to see her drop, I'm picturing him killing like 10 of them before he dies.
Yeah.
If she drops and gets killed and then somebody else tells him, I think then we gonna see like that assassin Creed kind of stuff. He gonna be on a roof, jump off, kill 2 guards. He just got because he's quick too, mind you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can see him doing that, and that would be some compelling shit. I'm like, man, Elijah. I'm like, man, when I said they needed more people, like, look like Elijah then took out half of them already, right? Cause
Yeah.
so I do like him. I wanted to run that by you because I feel like there's so many characters in the show, so many, and you got characters that you don't care about. There's a lot that you do. Characters that are consistently badass, characters that become badass,
Mm-hmm.
characters that you want to die. And I feel like Elijah is one of those characters where he gets overlooked because you don't see him that much. And especially if somebody has fallen off the show, they'll just be like, oh, who's this black guy? And there's really
Right.
not a lot of context with him, but you assume, okay, well, he's rolling with Maggie, so he's clearly one of the good guys. But you don't really have a whole lot of story if they haven't been watching, like how you can with other characters, where even if you've fallen off, there's still a lot of history that you remember, right? And then really it just comes down to, when did he become this way, or when did she become this way? So I didn't want him to get overlooked. That's why I wanted to get your thoughts on him.
Yeah, I would like to see more with him, definitely. I would definitely like to see more with him. I think a lot of the characters in this show are actually characters that I like, So
Right. And fortunately, um, I feel like there's a fair number of black characters, and the ones that are there, they're cool and they stick out. You
Mhm.
might have had a couple where it was like, they are right. But I feel like
Mhm.
there's enough of the cool, epic, badass ones, right? Michonne, right?
Yeah.
Morgan, you got Elijah, right? You got the
The girl.
hunter
Yeah.
that was on Fear the
Oh
Walking
yeah,
Dead, and his
yeah, yeah,
brother,
yeah, yeah.
right?
The
So
girl's brother in this one.
right,
Yeah.
right. And he's cooler than his brother because his brother was there for a short time, and then he had some actually compelling stuff that we saw, right?
Right.
So yeah, I feel like and then of course Strand, right? Like I know he's one of the most hated characters in that universe, but I think that speaks to how good
He's
his character
playing
is
it.
from a
Yeah.
writing standpoint, right?
Mhm.
So I think that the black characters that they have shown us within that universe are good enough to where they stick out, even if there is less of them.
Right. And so in the final episode, we also find out that, for some reason, there's a bunch of people that used to be in the Commonwealth, but they have a bunch of names, and it seems like they were doing something with them, like sending them to, well, supposedly it was to get that money for the dude, right?
Right, yeah.
And they were sending people out to try and get it, but they have a bunch of names of people that died. So the deaf girl and her sister are kind of like news reporters in the Commonwealth. So they look like they're going to bust the story. They actually put out an article, so they're going to try and bust the story open over there. And in the last episode, Maggie ends up confronting Daryl's ex, and she ends up catching Maggie
Yeah.
and tying her up, and they have that huge fight, and Daryl comes in and pops his ex in the head. You know what I mean? And that was just to show how loyal Daryl is to Maggie and them. It's fucking well done, bro.
Absolutely, because man, that whole scene and the build up was dope. Because like Maggie shot her in the leg, then Maggie was looking for her, then she like caught her in the face, tied her up. Then Maggie was just like, "Yep, I know how you're feeling. You think this gonna make a difference? It's not." And I'm gonna tell you, Anzo, man. And I think we went over this before in varying degrees and stuff. But when you're someone on a specific path, like especially if it's rage, right? You see in red, man, you're specifically trying to snap up certain individuals, but it's to the point to where you're almost so chaotic that you don't care who you snap up, which is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I didn't want to hear that shit either. Like what Maggie was telling Leia, because you could tell it was getting to her. Remember, she started shaking and getting mad and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And like I'm telling you too, man. Like I ain't gonna lie, even me, I didn't want to listen to no Mr. Miyagi, Master Splinter. I didn't want to hear none of them motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like, if you don't tell me, yo T, you was right for kicking them and doing whatever, whatever, then it was like it was almost like one ear and out the other because I was like, that's not what I want to hear. You should be telling me what I want to hear. But it didn't change the fact that those individuals were right, whether I wanted to accept it or not. Right. So that whole dialogue exchange between Maggie and Leia was really good because then it broke into that fight scene, like you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Man, they were throwing down. They were fucking each other up. I was like, oh, okay. Like, like
Yeah, pretty good fight scene. What up, Danny? We just talking some Walking Dead
hey,
over
what's
here,
going on,
man.
Danny?
Yeah, it was a good fight scene. You know what I mean? But I kind of knew that Daryl was gonna come in and do something, and right away, it's like, okay, yeah, he's gonna kill her.
You know, I that fight scene was so cool that I wasn't thinking about Daryl,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like when Daryl came in and then he looked for like a second and pow, right? And I was like, I didn't think he would do it that fast. Like I thought he was gonna grab her, throw her off. Leia, you don't need to do this. Like, there's good inside you. And then I thought he would kill her like that, right? So the fact that he did it so quickly, but without a conversation, no, hey, stop, no, nothing, right? Which is what we're normally accustomed to when we watch shows and movies that they try to talk them down first before they deliver the death blow.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, when you were saying that shows how loyal Daryl is to Maggie, that scene, if everybody is fighting us on it, they're like, no, he's not, no, he's not. I'm like, that scene is the one where you gotta shut up because I'm like, there ain't no arguing against that.
Absolutely. Danny said, just got to the beach, ready to relax. Yeah, man, have fun on your vacation, Danny. Happy Easter to you, man, and enjoy, man. Drink some
Yep, yep,
margaritas and shit on the beach for me, bro.
yep,
No, no,
yep.
no, not margaritas. Drink a real a man's drink, Danny. Don't be drinking none of that girly stuff, man. Drink a man's drink. Go get some cognac. You know what I mean? Some whiskey. Take 2 or 3 shots of that. You're on vacation, so have some fun with it, bro.
Yeah, man, just relax and have a good time. Hope the family is cool.
And
If
don't be
you
like
got
Terrence and drink apple juice, please.
hey, in this occasion, if you're on the beach, it's got to be apple cider because sometimes when it's sparkling, you get that crisp, clean taste. Man, that'll make you just relax in a special kind of way. Like whenever I'm at a party, if they ain't got no apple cider, somebody's getting grabbed by the throat. I'm like, how the fuck you have all this alcohol, but you ain't got no apple cider? Like, come on, y'all.
He was done with Leia. She was in vengeance mode. No talking down from the ledge. Yeah, that's her name, Leia. Yeah, she was actually in vengeance mode, and yeah, I had no problems with that, right? Because at the end of the day, Daryl didn't really have a huge connection to her, but he's had 11 years or however long he's been with Maggie and them, and he still feels guilty for Glenn dying. Like, you can't tell me that he doesn't, right? So he still feels guilty for Glenn dying.
You You know what's interesting about
Tennessee and Crown Royal. I agree. Go ahead. Go ahead, T.
No, I was gonna say what's interesting with Daryl and Maggie is that I feel like Daryl has known Maggie for a long time, but their relationship has gotten stronger over time. Because I feel like with aside from Carol, right, with Daryl, I think Rick, man, Daryl just was really close to Rick.
Yeah.
Like a lot, right? So I feel like he connected with them first, and then Maggie came after, and it was more of like experience and that kind of stuff, and her being around him. And once that loyalty was built, then you had those individuals, and then essentially everyone else came after. Not that they weren't important, but you know, there's positions to this, just like with anybody else. Because unless, I mean, you might have those humans where they're like, well, you know, everybody's in this one position, but I'm like, it has to be to varying degrees, unless they specifically tell me, no, everybody on this list, they're 100% the same. Because I'm like, it doesn't even work like that with me. And I'd be like, okay, well, I would have to explain it depending on who we're talking about. But I'm like, there's certain things that I would do for certain humans that other humans, they wouldn't get that kind of treatment. It's not even, there's no thought put into it. I'm like, just because you're a friend doesn't mean you're on the highest level. Just because I talk to you doesn't mean you're on the highest level. Like this is the kind of shit I got to break down. So when you talk about Daryl and Leia, there was something that he built with her, but it was over a shorter period of time. It was based on circumstances. And before it got to anything concrete, substance that was real, we saw what happened. You know, Daryl left and stuff like that. He made his choice. If anything, Leia was more attached to Daryl than Daryl was to Leia.
Yeah. And to be honest, I think Maggie and Daryl's relationship really started to blossom when they were questioning Rick keeping Negan alive.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Yeah,
because if you remember those episodes, he was going against Rick, and they even had a fight. You know what I mean? I think they had 2 fights during that season.
Right.
But yeah, they ended up making better and
because
Daryl. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just thinking out loud.
No, I was gonna say because Daryl ended up feeling kind of guilty that Rick had to kill himself on the bridge and went years looking for Rick. I think it was like 2 years he was looking for Rick.
Yeah, that's true. You know, there's something that bonds humans together when they are in a position to disagree on the same thing, or if they share the same or a similar ideology in a certain moment. Because you can have individuals like maybe the relationship is not as strong, but if you can come together on equal footing and agreement to something, that could be something special. Like I feel like a lot of humans overlook that because I ask them questions all the time. I'm like, so when did you guys get solidified in your position? Was it a certain moment, or was it like that first interaction? Like, how did it get to this? And if it wasn't like that before, I want to know how it got to like that. Like, what did it take? And based on what you said, I'm like, I think while you had other areas, I think that was one that brought them even closer.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and then we get to the final part of the season, or part of this chapter, where the guy ends up going to Alexandria because no one's there, and basically drops the Commonwealth flag. I'll show the scene.
Right. Yeah.
Taking over Alexandria, and I think he kills them too, right?
I don't know if they killed all of them, like because there's a moment where the doors close, right?
Yeah,
they're probably dead, right? Or at least the ones that didn't fall in line. But I'm pretty sure a number of them got killed because that was pretty haunting and sinister how the banners came down and then they like slowly closed the door and the way they zoomed in. I'm like, yeah, somebody that's outside of those walls is safer, because even when it comes to like gang members, like when they mark up their territory, you're making a huge statement by dropping a banner, because then you and me walking by, I was like, damn, where the fuck is the Commonwealth? When we see that, we know that they're in there or that they have claimed that territory. So if you're putting out banners, that means you want others to see it, which means that you are not afraid. And it also means you're not hiding. It's almost like you're saying, this is ours. If you don't like it and you want to try to do something, well, this is who we are and what we look like. And this is what you're going to see before you die if you piss us off. That's what I took it as.
Absolutely. And like I showed in that picture, they took over Alexandria, and that's how part 2 of season 11 ends, you know?
And
I'm excited for part 3. I really am.
Oh, absolutely. I think the final episode of it all like is gonna be great. And what will probably happen is the humans that have stopped watching it, they'll probably tune in for the last episode just to see how it ends. And they may or may not like it. And the reason why I'm saying that is because if they have stepped away and they've been gone for many seasons, or if they started the beginning of this final season and stepped away, there's so much context that's missing. I'm not entirely sure that you can enjoy the finale the same way, missing that much information.
Yeah, for real.
Unless, like, depending on how much action is happening, that might be enough to where somebody like, man, so this is how they went out. Okay. But I feel like you and I and others that have been watching the whole thing, those action pieces will more than likely have some sort of context and substance to it, because we know how it got to that point and why it's happening.
Absolutely.
To where certain action sequences are warranted, you know, certain characters might, you know, get killed and stuff. You're like, oh shit, oh damn, I knew it was building up to that. Just the reaction to it is different. I feel like reaction to things is based off of where that particular audience member is coming from. And for you and I, man, like, shit, we've been on a hell of a journey, and it's not even done. It's not like, because I want the humans to understand, just because The Walking Dead ends, the universe is still not done. You still got Fear. You got all these damn spinoff shows coming, right? Rick may or may not come back in a show or movie or something, right? So my question to you is, do you think Rick is going to show up in the last 2 episodes of The Walking Dead?
I swear to God, I was just about to ask you that question. I think so. I think so. I think he shows up. I think you get at least some kind of explanation of what happened, and then maybe it'll go, you know, it'll be like, okay, and then we get to see the movie, like, where they show all the details of what happened. But I think we're definitely gonna get to see Rick in the final episode. Caleb said, I think we'll see Rick in the final episode. I think we'll see him too.
Yeah, I think so as well, man. And now, to what capacity do you feel we'll see him? Because it's one thing, like, because, you know, you did explain it, but what I mean by that question is, do you feel it's going to be like he's in the like, so let's say he shows up in the last 2 episodes, right? How much do you feel he would be there? Like, do you feel like he would be there the whole episode? Would it be like one special impactful scene? Or is it like everything is done and then we see Rick? Like, how do you feel they would use him?
It's a good question. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I think maybe, if anything, if they're smart, I think they'll give us the last 2 episodes with Rick there. You know what I mean? Give us the last 2 episodes. I'm pretty sure the last 2 episodes will probably be a part 1 and part 2. And I think you give us a little bit of Rick in that, you know. Maybe he helps them defeat the Commonwealth or something like that. Because it's not just him, Michonne too, right?
That's right. We haven't seen Michonne for a minute because she went looking for Rick. That's right.
Right. So she's gone too. So they have a few things that they're actually going to have to fix or explain before the season is done.
And that's another thing too, because he's with the CRM, the individuals wearing the black and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just because I'm thinking like, okay, when we see him, did he escape from them? Because let's say he escaped, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's bad because then they would come looking for him. If the Walking Dead World Beyond is any indication, if you leave from the CRM, they come hunting your ass down. They don't just let you leave.
Right.
Especially like if you're important. And Rick is important. Like who knows what kind of position they put him in. He can't just hightail it out of there. They don't get down like that. They're gonna be like,
Mm-hmm.
yo, Anzo, you want some breakfast? Anzo, open the door. Anzo ain't in there. They're gonna send like several dozen men looking for you.
Absolutely.
And if they can't find you, they'll send a couple dozen more. And then the Jadis became the boss of one of the bosses of the CRM at the end of
Mm-hmm.
the Walking Dead World Beyond, right? But that was before, so she's kind of far removed from that. But like, there's so many things that play into that. I'm like, okay, so if he escaped, they're gonna be hunting him down, and then the CRM would then play into the Commonwealth story. And then if we find out, oh, they're actually the same fucking organization, it's just a different branch, that would be fucked up. Or
Absolutely.
if that leads the CRM to have a war with the Commonwealth at the same time, you effectively have a full-blown war. And then let's say, Anzo, on the flip side of that he didn't escape, but he shows up with them.
Mm-hmm.
So then that would beg the question of, okay, he's with them. He got the uniform on and everything, which means that he now has more skills because he got their training.
Right.
So in the moment that they decide to do something that he doesn't like, is his mind still in the right position to where he will mow them down to save his family, or would it just depend on how much he disagrees? Like, it just brings up so many questions. I would like to think that if the CRM is like, get on your knees, and then they about to blow away, Maggie and everybody, that he would just turn around and start mowing them down.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he would. I'm pretty sure he said. Caleb said either we'll hear his voice on the radio or we'll see him physically telling the group to come find him or something like that. That would be amazing to see where they took Rick. Will they ever tell us? I hope they do because I don't think you can end the show without letting us know what happened to Rick. You know what I mean?
You can't, man. And especially like, because they had some plans at first. We were supposed to get 2 Walking Dead movies with
Yeah.
Rick.
Yeah.
Because Andrew Lincoln wanted to be with his family, because I know they was filming that show, super popular. You're on the road a lot, and that's not including going to conventions and shit.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
wanted to take a break, right? And it's like, that's a way that they wrote off his character, right? Blowing up on the bridge, they take him away in the helicopter. And when you're doing movies, right? Granted, you are shooting for a while, but it's less to the degree if you're constantly the main star in an ongoing series.
Right.
So I think if let's say it gets to the end and hey Daryl, it's me, it's Rick, and then that's fine, but I would want a little more than that. I would actually want to see him, and like for him to show up and maybe save Rick, whoever, or not Rick, but Daryl, or save somebody, or save the whole community for that matter. For like him to come up with a plan with the CRM to convince them that they have to save his people, like, would be cool. But then the only problem with that is I'm like, okay, well, y'all took out the Commonwealth, but Rick, man, the fact that the CRM is alive, they're a problem too. But would it just be that Rick would want to get rid of them because they're a problem that he doesn't understand in the same way as the CRM? Because at least with the CRM, he'll have insider information. It's more of a monster, I guess you could say, between the two monsters that you would have a better chance at taking down, because at least you have more details.
Yeah.
Right? Now, somebody might be listening to this going, damn, that's some complicated shit. I'm like, hey, I'm just coming up with different questions based on what they have presented. It might not be none of the shit that I said. It could be like some far left jaw dropping. You know, did Nzo texting me? I'm texting him. Did you see that fucking finale? And we just going off. It could be like that.
Absolutely, it could be. Caleb said it's literally impossible to do that. And then he said, you have to give us something Rick related." Yeah, I agree. I agree. You definitely have to give us something Rick related on the show, because if they don't, then it's going to be like, well, unless they still have the movies planned, right? Maybe they don't give us nothing in the show, but they do their movies like right after. But I haven't heard anything about those movies in a long time, so I don't know if they're still coming or not. Which, if they're not, then you got to give us something, man. It's got to be
That's a good point, Anzo, because we've been hearing more talks about the spin-off shows, the
right.
miniseries,
Then the movies,
than
yeah.
the movies. Because before it was the movies, and
Mm-hmm.
then it turned into the miniseries, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, let's just say if he's supposed to show up in one of the miniseries, or they still do the movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
I still think it would be kind of a mistake to not have him show up at the end, because like a lot of humans, they're not like looking stuff up. They don't know. They just like casually watching the show.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the writers would have to think about them, because that would be weird for them. Because not everybody knows about all these spin-off shows and what movies they're supposed to be doing. They could just
Right.
be casually tuning in every week, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it would kind of be a mistake for the writers not to consider what the large majority might not know, in that to them it might be dissatisfying to not show Rick or give any sort of update. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Kev said the Serum will be the final boss type of threat in the Rick movies, where we'll see our group take them down, and that'll be the true finale for our characters. Yeah, man, I think if they, like I said, if they do the season finale, we don't get any Rick, but then we get the Rick movies, and that's how they end it off, I'll be okay with that type of ending. I'll be fine with that.
Right. I will be, because it's all about, because me saying what individuals may not like. I'm only looking at it from an objective standpoint. Like,
Hmm.
aside from what we might want, it's like, what better way to end it than to have the one that you started it with Rick?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
and it's and again, it's not even that Rick has to do something specific, as much as I think it is that it's important for him to at least be there, or we see him or something. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I'm
I
not
agree.
talking about no cheap shit like in the Matrix Resurrections, where we get scenes from old seasons. I'm talking about present day,
Yeah. Yeah.
present day Rick, and that kind of stuff. Don't show me no flashback where him on the horse in season one, and he
Right.
just smiles at the camera like, "Oh, it's
Hmm.
gonna be okay, Carl." No, fuck that. No, don't do that.
I agree. I agree with you 100%.
So,
Well, yeah,
and then
go ahead.
another question for you, Anzo.
Hmm.
So, um, which characters do you think are gonna die?
Ooh, that's another question. I don't know. I don't know. I know somebody's dying. There has to be some sort of stakes or something to where someone's gonna die, or at least a few people are gonna die. I think
Right.
it's gonna be a couple people that are gonna die. Um, if I had to break it down, maybe Eugene, right? I think that would be an emotional death because he's finally found love. You know what I mean? Looks like he's happy, and then he dies.
Yeah,
Um,
to save Max. Yeah, that'd be fucked up.
right, right. I don't know. I think Mac's brother might die. You know what I mean? I think he's been a character that people are enjoying. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you know what? Ah, yeah, that's a good one you brought up,
I
because
think anybody that's not Maggie, Negan, Carl, or Daryl are on limits. Any one of them can die.
right. That is that. I was just about to say that's cool. We on the same wavelength. Yeah, like I was about to say that when you look at the spinoffs, right, the characters that we know are going
Hmm.
to be there, they're safe.
Yeah.
So no matter what situation they in, even if it looked like there's no way they could have survived, we know they
Hmm.
did because they got their show.
Right.
So, but there's still a sea of other characters that are on the chopping list, Anzo.
Yes. A few of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A few of them. So.
And then, okay, so then I guess I could ask you this. So, okay, we know the ones that they definitely not gonna kill off because they save because of the shows. Sometimes, if you ask me, Anzo, sometimes I think it's a mistake to announce your projects.
Me too.
Because then we know certain things are not going to happen, right? Because you can always wait to announce them after, because you know what I mean.
I agree, 100%.
Because if you tell me, did Negan's getting his own show? I'm like, well, now I know Negan's going to be safe,
right? And he would be one that I would say would probably die if we didn't get that announcement. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'd be like, yeah, Negan's probably gonna die because I could see Negan sacrificing himself for one of the kids or for Maggie, you know what I mean? And that would be like his redemption arc for killing Glenn. I could see that.
Right. Yep. I would have thought that too. I'm like, man, what if he saves Glenn's son?
Right.
And that's how he dies. I'm like, yeah, I get it. You know, tear dropping, that's pretty poetic. I get it. But now we ain't gonna think that, because I mean, he could still save him, but we know he's not gonna die.
Right.
Oh, hey, you know, it'd be fucked up.
Yeah.
They're not gonna do this at all, Anzo. If they do, it'll be the most shocking thing in 2022, period. Like, but like we know Negan gonna be safe, but imagine if he tries to save Glenn's son, but then Glenn's son gets wrecked in front of Maggie.
Yeah.
When I'm like, man, that Negan Maggie show is looking just dark. Like, I know it's dark because it's apocalyptic, but wouldn't that be some messed up? So I can see the fans like, man, y'all mean to Maggie. Like, she had the.
For real.
and, you know, I'm not saying like they're gonna show him get shot, but I mean, you know, stuff could fall on him in any number of ways. He could die, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they're gonna do that, but I just wanted to say it because it's so fucking crazy that I think that's you could just cross that off the list. But I had to mention it because I thought about it.
No, I agree with you 100%. Said we do need closure. Will we get any more video games? I enjoy the Telltale ones with Lee and Clementine. I've only played, I think, one of the games. I think was the Michonne one, but I don't see why we wouldn't get more video games. Like, I believe we will, and you could use the video games for like fillers, you know. So,
the game that you played, is that important to the actual universe, or is it like new, like not connected?
I didn't play enough of it to know, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't play.
Yeah, because they got a few of those games, right?
Yeah. Okay. They got a few of those Walking Dead games. So yeah, hopefully we will get more of them. I think I should play more of them. I might actually. I don't even remember why I stopped playing it. I just downloaded it, I tried it, and I was like, oh, okay, it's pretty good. But then I never went back to it. So I'll probably do that again. And we've been on for 2 hours, so we can close it up now. But if Terrence is willing, we will be back for the final episodes, man, to do a review on the final episodes.
Yep.
See how it is, you know.
Can we, man? And Michonne, we got to see Michonne again too. You can't.
I want to see her back too.
You cannot end it without her either. Like,
yeah,
with respect to Michonne, because I want her to have like the scene where we see Judith, like, like Judith is beast. Like, also I've met so many kids and stuff, you know, family members, cousins, and brothers and sisters of different friends and stuff, right? I even train with kids in martial arts, right? I'm telling you, Judith is one of those badass characters where you just see her and you're like, man, get out of here, little girl, man. You ain't about nothing. And then she just taking out full grown adults and zombies. I'm like, oh, well, this is why you should not judge a book by its cover. But I just have to tell you, Judith, you can understand my position if I didn't think you were like this. I mean, nobody would think that, Anzo. Who would think that? Who would see little Judith with no context and go, man, she could just throw down? Who would think that?
For real.
You know what I mean? Like, it just it don't make sense. That's something where you got to see it to believe it. Somebody could tell you all they want, but man, she ain't gonna do nothing with that little sword, and shoot, and just smack that out of her hand. You like, oh shit! And like, if I see Judith kill one of the Commonwealth with her sword, that would be one of the moments where I would stand up cheering. I'd be like, that's fucking amazing. They got all that armor, and Judith managed to get underneath in one of the little vulnerable areas.
For real.
And then imagine like she gets thrown down and there's two of them. I'm like, yeah, of course it's two of y'all against little Judith. That's what it took for you to beat her. And then right before they about to do something, Michonne come out with her sword and just chop their head off. And she like, Mom. And then they had that team up where they back to back and they like, man, boy.
For real. M said the games aren't connected. Some of the same characters though. Okay, so they're not connected, but yeah, they do have the characters from the show and the game, but they're not connected.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting. Okay. All right, so Terrence, tell the people about your channel real quick before we close it up.
Oh, yep. Hey humans, my channel is T-Virus Terrence. I don't have anything planned, but I do randomly drop stuff on the channel. Cause beforehand, remember Nzo, I'd have like 100 videos and just ready to go and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays I kind of just it's in the moment, just talk about something pop in my head, and I just kind of go about it that way. And then how I go about my methods of posting, it does vary, but that's kind of how I've been going about it recently. Mm-hmm. But hey, even if I were to stop posting, there's like 4,100 videos on my channel. I organized them all into playlists. There's more than 100 playlists. Because if you go to my the channel page and you scroll down, you could see some stuff, but that's not the full picture. Like you would have to go to the playlist to really understand just how much is on my channel. Like it don't matter. It's just everything that's there, whether it be reviews. I've covered more than 600 topics. I mean, and a lot of stuff, Nzo, they may not know, but you've known me for a while now, and you knew about the other channel that I had with Tremaine.
Mm-hmm.
There were like 10,000 videos on that channel. Over 6,000 of them came from me. So a person would have to know, like, when you've been on here since 2012 across 6 different channels, each channel having thousands of videos, it's like you can only think about so much to do, right? And then a lot of stuff I've already done it, but it's just a lot of it's not around anymore because the channels are gone. And like I wasn't like one of those individuals like, let me save it to a hard drive and stuff, because I wasn't really thinking and caring about it to that degree. It was just me having fun. So I wasn't like looking at it from I need to back it up just in case. Aside from when I did have a backup channel, which is T-Virus Terrence, and that became my main channel. So, a lot of stuff is there, and I think that it's important to, have stuff there for the person. If they get hungry, they can go to the kitchen and eat. Because Nzo, man, when I was on the Tremaine Terrence channel, this one dude, like he called himself my biggest fan. Like he lived in San Francisco at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I got to talk to him. This dude was jumping up and down and shit like he met Tom Cruise or somebody. I was like, oh shit. I was like, I didn't know I had that kind of effect. I was just running my mouth. But I guess you never know. But that dude claimed that he had seen everything I posted. At that time I had like 2,000 videos or something. But he said he watched them all. Like when they dropped, he just watched them. But I would imagine that most individuals are not like that. They're very selective. They'll pick and choose, or they might be waiting for certain things to get covered. But either way, man, I feel like there's a lot of stuff there, for a person to find. And, they'll see me around, y'all see me with Nzo on his channel. You'll see me with Danny. There's a few channels where you'll see me, because there's a lot of channels that I don't go on just because I like panels are fun. But as I mentioned, I do prefer like one-on-one, like especially if it's with Nzo, what I'm saying? He's my brother. Like I like, being able to talk with him without 10 other people interjecting.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So
absolutely. And I also am bigger for it entertainment. Supposed to do the Moonlight Roundtable tonight, but I'm not sure about that because there is a versus going on, so I may do that instead. But just make sure to look out for that. Caleb and If you guys want to talk Walking Dead the next time we do it, just let me know. We'll have you guys on as well. Be interesting to get other people's perspective on there. We'll start off with me and Terrence for a while and then bring other people in. We could do that. I don't mind doing that at all. But we don't even know when the next half is going to come back. So that's kind of disappointing to me, is that they never gave us a date. That's
Right. It just said the fall.
right. Right.
So that I'm like, what is that? September, October, November, December? What is that?
You know what I mean? It seems like it's going to take a long time for us to get those. He said it comes out in October. Okay.
Oh,
All
okay,
right.
yeah, okay, yeah. That's the usual time because when the what was it when we were watching the episode when it ended, it just said fall. It didn't even say
Right.
October or nothing. It just said fall. So.
Oh, he said that's his guess at least. Okay.
Oh,
Well,
okay. I
yeah.
mean that's a good guess. I mean, normally The Walking Dead does either
Yeah.
come out with a new season or continue in October, and then Fear is mostly in the spring and stuff like that. So.
Absolutely. Well, that was a great show, guys. Do appreciate all you guys that came in to watch it, and I do appreciate Terrence for doing this with me, man. It was fun. With that being said,
Absolutely.
we're gonna close it up and make sure sooner today there'll be one stream up, either Versus or Moonlight, whichever one I do. But with that,
Brother,
yeah,
this is not gonna be the 10-hour question, but
go ahead.
I was gonna ask you. So let's say we in the zombie apocalypse, and you find out that I was bitten and stuff. Like what do you feel your reaction would be? Immediate bullet to the head, or do you feel like you would let me turn and then kill me, or would you ask me my final request? Like how do you feel you go about
No,
something like
I'd
that?
kill you. You're dead.
Dang, like so you wouldn't try to find a cure or nothing.
Well, there is no cure.
But
I mean, we
don't
chop off your hand wherever you get bitten. You will chop off that limb, and then if that stops you from turning, then you're good. But if not, then yeah, you getting shot.
So what, like, would you be surprised? Like, I'm like, I'll pull the sleeve up, got the teeth marks, and then like, what if you see me crying? Like, do you feel like that would surprise you, or
I don't see you crying, so
now?
that's
Now, bear in mind, there is a difference between crying from like actual pain, like physical pain, and then crying from an emotional perspective, right?
Mhm.
That's different. I know a lot of humans don't like to look at it like that, but I'm like, if somebody got shot and they crying, it's like, I guess I can understand. But if they're crying because of an emotion, that's aside from that, then that's different too, because there's a explanation behind that. So you feel like you wouldn't picture me crying, but what if I did though? Like
I guess you die with tears in your eyes.
that's messed up, Hanzo. Like I would at least like give you a final request. Like, if you've seen that movie Land of the Dead by George A. Romero, have you seen that one?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, remember John Leguizamo's character
yeah.
and his buddy, remember he got bit and he wanted to stick it to the dude in the tower and shit that had all his money and he didn't care about the people in the city. He was trying to hightail it out of there. And then his friend looked at him, he was sad. He was like, so what? He's like, you want me to kill you or you want to turn? Or he's like, nah, he's like, I always wanted to see what it was like on the other side, but I'm gonna go get after this dude because by the time I turn, I'll be in front of him and I can turn too. And then his friend was like, you want me to go with you? He's like, nah, you go ahead, but this is, my final request. So
Well, you see, the problem with that is, especially in The Walking Dead, sometimes they turn like right away. Sometimes they take hours. Sometimes they take like fucking minutes. So I wouldn't know which one would happen to you. So I would just protect myself and shoot you in the foot.
but see, that's the thing, right? Because sometimes, they do talk about how they can feel the transformation, they feel different and stuff. I'm like, what if I tell you like, hey man, I feel fine.
Yeah, well, still doesn't work.
I feel like that don't mean nothing. I feel like I'm that type of dude where I'd say that and it just Tremaine will tell you like even when I busted my foot open when I was practicing martial arts and how I split my fucking heel open. Tremaine will tell you, Anzo, the blood was coming out. I was just like, I'll be good, Tremaine. Tremaine ran to my parents fast as fuck. So yeah, I'm one of them dumb motherfuckers. I'm like, hey, I'm fine, Anzo. I'm good. Just whole blood just squirting out my fucking arm and shit.
I feel you. shit. Great show. Guys, make sure to look out. We're gonna do this again. For sure. Talk more Walking Dead. Maybe we'll do some Fear Walking Dead stuff if you want to do some of that too.
Yeah, because man, that show needs more love. I feel like it's gotten a little bit more popular, but there's plenty of humans I didn't talk to on, so they're like, oh, that's the prequel one. They have no idea that it caught up to present day, right?
Right.
I'm like, yeah, that's how long the show is. They're like, oh no, I seen a little bit, and they was like, didn't Morgan go over there or something? They're like, I'll watch the episodes with him. I'm like, well, you might have to watch whole seasons because Morgan is in damn near all of them. Like once it gets to the point where he's there and he becomes a leader of that group, I'm like, Morgan is practically there all the time. So if you're saying you're gonna watch it for Morgan, you're gonna be watching whole seasons at one point.
Yep, I agree.
They're like, oh well, I just I'd rather watch The Walking Dead, but I fell off of that too. And it's just sometimes it could be difficult, I guess, to convince them to give it a chance. But I'm like, man, if you gave up on The Walking Dead, I don't even know if I could get you into Fear, because I feel like the best stuff from Fear does come at the halfway point, even though I like the whole show. So I don't know.
I agree. And like I said, I think more people should watch it. I think it's just as good as The Walking Dead. You know what I mean? And this season, that's why when the season went off, right? Because I didn't know they were doing the half season and then doing the regulars and then doing Walking Dead and then bringing back the season. I didn't know they were doing that. So when the season ended, I was like, wait, it's done? You know what I mean? Like, it's done? Like, what the hell? I went looking for the next episode. There was no next episode. So it's been a while since we get to see the continuation. So I'm excited for that. And I think it's just as good as The Walking Dead right now. So
absolutely like that. Now when let's see, I'd say these last 3 seasons just as good as The Walking Dead. Because before that it was like, you're the second show. You're the second show. That's where you are. And then the last 3 seasons, I'm like, okay, you not number 2 no more. You that fighter where the other dude's like, I'm the best and he's the champion. The other dude coming up like, no, I'm the best. You're like, damn, I'm starting to believe that you could beat the champion. Like, you know?
1A and 1B, that's what it was right now. I think it started when Morgan came in, and then we got the first season Morgan came. I was like, meh, wasn't really feeling it too much. It was okay, but in the middle, I think it was the middle of that season till now, it's just been bangers.
Fire, man. Them characters are badass. I love them characters. They just awesome.
So make sure to look out for that. If Terrence is willing, we'll do some Fear the Walking Dead reviews on that. And other than that, guys, see you on the next one. Peace.
Yep.
Brainstorming, brains stay pouring all over the court. Check your trade scoring, a rational activist. Others remain dormant, factual passages. Able to wage war when time call for it. Burn fire upon corporate setting his back. So let's fall forward. See the big picture. Don't get stuck on small portraits. Tap resources, your 3 inner forces. Mind, body, and soul working like piano chords. Linking the piece together from the root like Neanderthals. Reserving animalistic behavior when I convert into the cross satanic spiritual savior. Words that I use are the truth if I never gave ya anything else in your life. Remember words that I breathe on this mic. I print people a copy to read what I write. Tell it fast like my speed on a bike. Like a native chief, I speak and bring peace with a pipe. Subtle as a thief in the night with beats that I like. Check the I'm blacking out like Slobodan Milosevic. Hold that, take some with you. Eternal pain when New Jerusalem hit you. Fall back, don't press the issue with script, lock, script, check, Bethlehem officials.